we're more trusted now than we were. There was a lot of uncertainty right at the start by existing organisations, councils, various representatives from, you know, lots of different places. Didn't really know what we were about, and neither did we at the time. But I think that there's a lot more trust now, and we're working a lot closer with existing organisations. And we've got examples, you know, here today where we've got representatives from different groups. We're working a lot closer with councils. There is still some resentment and some, well, why can't we do what we want to do rather than what Big Local want to do? So that is changing. Having said that, we're still having massive difficulties getting, you know, more resident involvement. It's getting better, but it's taken best part of 4 years.
Community morale's improved, and like you say, you've been accepted, you've got things off the ground, and that has in turn improved community morale, such as they started up the Fun Day again. So that's quite a big event for people to start recognising they are there for us. So I think it has had a positive impact on community morale, and that in turn's made everything a lot easier.
Been a lot slow, very slow, because people still don't understand what Big Local is. They still don't. It's amazing. The amount of publicity and promotion work that we put out in both villages, it still astounds us. You get people what's Big Local, and obviously, you know, I get frustrated because we're trying to gain more confidence with the people and get them to come forward and tell us what they feel and what they would like. And don't forget, we can't always help them on everything that they want.
Particular individuals who are well driven and motivated, it helps us no end. What's changed for us now, and although it's a very narrow change to the community because it's basically kind of filtered through a couple of ranges I work with myself, which is full via Pete, and then the Green Open Spaces group, and then into the community. But we get a reaction back of the work we do, and we get input and assessment of the work we do, and that's probably a two-way process for you guys as well. So, and what we've delivered, there's been some great work in the grand scheme of things, relatively small scale jobs, but they're jobs that are valuable and that contribute, and that over a long period of time just keep chipping away. So it complements the service that we deliver as a county council. It enables us to work in a different way, where we might be constrained by our own service policies and aims and objectives.
Some departments are still, that isn't the way that it's working. It's still very much about there's us and there's you. But we want to be able to find ways to bring that together, to use everybody's strengths and assets and resources to the best possible way that we can, with the community at the heart of it.
The whole of the 150 would have one thing in common. We all struggle with volunteers and getting people on board. And I don't know what the rest of the country's like, but I would imagine most of the partnership boards are run by old folks.
We're talking about resident-led. And you were the most cynical person I've met about, you know, what's Big Local? Blooming heck, waste of time, this and that and that. And we had half an hour. And I said to you, Dave, you and I have got one thing in common. We've both got big gobs. And I said, why don't you come and use Big Local? And you are one of the foundation stones of Big Local.
Absolutely.
Because you've got a big mouth, you go on and shout the odds about Big Local, you throw yourself into events, and that, to my mind, is what it's about. On the edge, feeling the water and coming in and becoming involved. And you are also spreading that by your example. And that, to me, is what resident-led is all about. Us working in there and showing that we can affect change. We can affect change, and I do sincerely believe that we are simply affecting change in our areas.
It was a real eye-opener at the seminar that you did with Kyle, in the way that some of the Big Local areas were actually working, and felt that, you know, we had some that everything had to be agreed by the partnership, even the smallest decisions and small and it seemed to be an eye-opener to something that we let working groups do their own thing within certain set rules. And it was like,
what I see Big Local as doing is being a vehicle to bring people together, to provide that structure for the community to come together to do its stuff, and to be there for public services or other environment agency or whatever it is, to be able to capture that energy and work with it more easily. So you're not just going out in the dark trying to find somebody to do that bit of the service that you can't do. It is ultimately about a different sort of relationship.
County Council Public Health, they wanted to run their holiday hunger schemes in certain communities. They don't know who to speak to within communities, but by having Big Local, they were able to get involved, work with the children and young people's group to get some delivery on the ground. Otherwise there wouldn't have been a natural forum for that to happen. And it links, we had a meeting earlier on this week with some housing guys looking at the empty properties. They've got aspirations and targets to reduce the number of empty properties in the community. Big Local's got aspirations of sustainability and also giving people some homes to live in within the community as a sustainable home. So by bringing it together, the council knows that Big Local is a trusted brand, a trusted organisation to work with, and everyone is getting their outcomes, even if they're different outcomes, and it just brings things together.
It's a collective action. I think when you put Big Local together, people know, oh, local, well, I like where I live, and let's make it better. And then once you've got them people, them like-minded people together, like Dave says, you've got a catalyst, you've got collective action, and all that energy pushed into one room around one table where you can see what's happening.
New projects have been spawned out of Big Local that are now running independently and will hopefully be there long after Big Local.
That was never there before, or was lost.
We sometimes
and
put
we've
it
revived
about the number of volunteers and everything else and the people that we get involved or in the community. But in Grassland and Hasmoor, I took our group, the groups from Green Open Spaces, whether it's Petang or the Friends of Grassmoor Country Park or whatever, there's 100 and odd people are actually involved, sometimes 4 times a week. And if you take all the other groups, and you take the Gala Day and the Fun Day, and all of the groups, I'm sorry if I missed some of you out, you're talking 1,000 people who are involved because of our project. And they get to know each other, and even sometimes they'll go away, emblazon the name above, but they've gone away happy, knowing more people, and they'll go away and say, who are Grassland, Hasmoor, Big Local, but they've come and joined the facilities and got involved, but gone away happy, and that's what we are about.
The work went in then to see how, well, what actually existed already in Hasland and Grassmoor. That was the trick, that was the starting point. There was a big community sweep, wasn't there, done around that. So the first profile showed what was already there. So we were always determined never to reinvent the wheel or to underestimate what was already in our 2 communities. And from those very early days, a lot of people actually are still here, and that's what I think the size of the team came from initially, didn't it? But we didn't make the choices were made by the 2 communities. And it was the gaps, wasn't it, Steve?
Yeah, and I think it was the mantra that Stephen as chair was saying, if you don't do it, it won't get done.
Exactly.
And that was the sort of catalyst for the working groups.
Some of the comments you've just made, that it's outside our control, well, it's outside your local council's control as well. You're talking about how we have certain drivers from central government that we cannot ignore, or they cut off the taps to us if we don't take certain actions. So we're having to do a lot of things that you don't necessarily like, but it's not us doing it.
No.
We're only the front line that's being forced to do this to you and your communities. And believe me, I mean, I sit on a lot of committees that discuss a lot of things in this town. I've said it before and I'll say it again in front of yourselves. You are so lucky to have this group that communicates with its communities so well and has a feel and is so embedded in its communities. This word that keeps cropping up, trust. Once you've got that trust, then you will get a lot more light touch than you might do otherwise, and a lot more readiness to agree. But you've also got to get exactly the same sort of trust and relationships with your local residents, because if you lose their trust, you're in trouble.
And we've tried to do it as a whole by targeting existing groups, and then you then get to the harder to reach people through those existing groups, don't you?
Having seen what's happened, and in the summer I had a chance to be a little bit involved in some things that are happening on the ground, it seems to me that momentum is gathering now. People are beginning to realise what Big Local can do and appreciating that. and beginning to look at what more it can do. And I think this is where some of the drivers for change can come from. And I think, as I said here, I don't think Dave should be quite so frustrated with what he thinks he hasn't achieved, because I think we've achieved a lot. Really. I mean, it's been a long struggle, obviously, but I think it's beginning to really pick up momentum now.
Because we are the big bad services. We did have quite a bit of discussion, didn't we, about the relationship between services and residents. And what the bit that I personally was dead interested in was your question was, what does it look like? What are the basic conditions for it to work? And how does it fit with other decision-making processes? And we reflected on quite a few times where services might have come in and seen the opportunity of big local in a group like this to help them to deliver something they want to do on the ground. Steve put this one well, didn't you? Like turning a goodwill and good ideas into a chore. So we come with what we think we want to do in a community and think, yay, these people are here, they're all energetic, they're connected to this community in really amazing ways. They can help us to run this holiday hunger programme, but we completely miss a trick because we haven't allowed that community to co-design that thing with us, so it actually does the right thing for that community. And you said, like, people are there buttering bread and making butties and chopping
You want to blow a whistle and be a football referee, and then instead you spend 2 hours making sandwiches and cutting up carrots to feed kids.
Yeah, I think that's something that we fundamentally built in very, very early doors to create an absolute, there will be change. This is not stagnant.
What doesn't work particularly well in our view is people coming with pet projects that might be very personal to them or to a very small part of their organisation, and trying to sort of thrust that onto the partnership. Oh, you need to do this, and we've seen it happen. We've had a number of board members who've come with their pet projects thinking that they're very important because, apologies to Mick, they're on a council and they can tell you what's best for you and impose it, and because they didn't get their own way, they're no longer part of the partnership board. So pet projects don't work very well. And the other problem that I think we've found, and it's managing expectations, is people are turning to us to infill for projects that have been cancelled and not funded by somebody else. So that it's up to us to educate that that's not what Big Local's about. Just because the council doesn't do X anymore, it doesn't mean to say that Big Local pick it up.
We know that how hard it is. Try different approaches, learn by failure as much as success, always listen, and don't take criticism personally, because you're going to get it. With your head above the parapet, you're going to get criticism. Of course. Build partnerships, don't think you know all the answers, or you can do it all yourselves.
The GHBL make every effort to consult and deliver what the community wants and what being underlined, not what others think we should have. It is such an impressive part about this group. But they do nothing themselves. They try and get whatever they can from the residents, from their local communities, and I've seen all too many people do it. I know what's best for this community, and we're going to have this, and little groups of people sat there thinking, I know what's best for this community. None of that here at all. It makes every attempt to get out there, find out what people want, so as you can deliver what the residents want. And that's so important, because you then come back to this trust issue again. Keep that trust. It's worth its weight in gold.